Hi, welcome to day 8 of the 9 candles. And our 8th presenter to discuss all this with us is Ann Perry, who's a numerologist. And if you don't know her, you definitely need to run right over. And we have all the stuff below of how to find her channel. She's probably one of the best numerologists that I've ever been around. And I have not that I've been around tons of them, but she sure puts it all together and makes it so much easier. And I really feel like numerology is so much the key to so much of the information that the universe is sending to us. But before we get to all that the interesting stuff, we get to light the candles. And if you're lighting along with me, if you're doing your own intentions, pull them in now. The act of lighting these candles, and as you know, I'm not the swiftest at this. In the act of lighting these candles serves as a metaphorical beacon, guiding our spirits to the next level of existence and fostering a deeper connection with the universe. This blue light special upgrade we're going through signifies the transformative experience where our spirits become the catalyst for the strengthening of universal connections and the universal connections. During this ritual, we focus our intentions on personal growth, spiritual enlightenment, aligning our energies with the natural rhythms of the planet. It's time for introspection, envisioning our desired future, and seeking harmony with the world around you. A time to celebrate the growth and the balance of the collective. By embracing this ritual, we acknowledge the interconnectedness of all the life on earth and channeling that awareness to elevate our own spiritual journey. It's a beautiful way to celebrate and to embrace the cyclical nature of existence by seeking personal growth and collective growth. And come back to Ms. Ann. The 9th candle will be lit on solstice. So that's why we were peaking this time. It's the blue light that came in to the Hopi mesas, and it's now spreading across the earth, and it's hitting everybody a little differently. So we're going to let Ann talk about what we kind of know would have been going on if the blue light hadn't hit, but then how that enriches our lives in knowing this stuff. So with that, I hand you over to Ann Perry, who's up in Newfoundland?
Sorry. Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, not quite Newfoundland.
Not quite the edge of the earth, but almost.
Yeah, well, yes.
My son's in Newfoundland. It's a beautiful spot for sure. But I'm in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me here again this
Well,
year.
thank you for coming again.
Really appreciate it.
And so just whatever you want to talk about.
Well, gosh, there's so much to talk about. I mean, 2023, of course, has been our 7 universal year.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 universal year, of course, is all about introspection and reflection and real spiritual awakening, if you will. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing we have to understand is that the universe has its own vibration, right? So
Mm-hmm.
each January we go into a new vibration. So January of 2023, we went into the 7 vibration. So I like to think of the universal vibration as like an umbrella influence.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're in a personal year of 3 and I'm in a personal year of 5, we're still going to have that umbrella influence of the
Right.
7 this year. So that means to say that every single one of us has been kind of spiraling down the drain a little bit this year, a little bit directionless, a little bit confused. And really we were being asked to surrender and trust in something bigger than ourselves, whatever that is to you, whatever the divine means to you. We were being asked to step in and surrender, move away from the ego, surrender to spirit. Because really, this is a time of reflection over the last 6 years that we've been going through, right, universally. And if you look back to history, you're going to see where everything's been kind of ramping up. And in 2024, she's really going to ramp up, right? Because 2024 is going to be the 8 vibration, because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8. Okay. So we've all kind of been in our cave all of this year, for the last 12 months, we've sort of been in our cave. And those of you who are in a 7 personal month, pardon me, personal year, or maybe your life path number is a 7, you will have been feeling this more than someone else, right? Because
Mhm.
that's a little bit more intense, the 7 energy. So we're stuck inside the cave, and now we're kind of sort of peeking out, and we need to know how this vibration is going to help or hinder us. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the generalities behind 2024 and how it's affecting us globally. And then we're
Mhm.
going to look at each personal year, and I'll teach you how to figure out what your personal year is if you don't know what it is. So we'll be looking at all of the personal years from 1 to 9, and how does that 8 vibration, the universal vibration, how is that actually going to amplify your experience through your personal year?
Mhm.
So this is going to be an epic year, 2024. I think you can feel it. You know, it's definitely starting to ramp up. It's going to be a vibration which relates to the law of cause and effect. It's a very karmic energy. Whatever has been put out there, you know, by our world leaders in the last, 7 years or so, is going to come to fruition in
Mhm.
2024. So the good stuff and the bad stuff. I'm not going to lie, I'm slightly nervous about 2024. I tend not to buy into that that fear, which is kind of where everybody seems to go when watching the news and such. But the fact is, the 8 is a very, very powerful energy. It will amplify anything in its past. So when I say I'm a little bit nervous, I'm almost nervous to say I'm nervous, because we
Mhm.
don't want to amplify that, with this 8 vibration. But there's a lot going on that's causing us to pay heed, right? I've got lots of notes here, guys, so I'm going to be resorting to them. Right now, before I even get into 2024, right now I want you to know that you've still got time to kind of slow things down a notch up until about the 1st of January. This is a time to still soul search. What do you want? How do you plan on getting there? What is your plan? Are you focused on what you don't want, or are you focused on what you do want? Because the 8 is the amplifier. Okay, so if you're too focused on what you don't want, you're going to get a whole lot more of the same. That's just the law of attraction. So this coming into 2024, you must be very, very clear about what it is you want to manifest. So I would really encourage you to look at your own personal year. I've got video links I can send you and things like that if you need them. But I want you to really study your personal year, because you really can take advantage of an awful lot next year. Whatever your personal year is, the 8 is going to amplify it again. So we can't miss this, right? We just can't miss this. So be clear about what you want to bring with you and what you don't. We want to travel light when we're going into
Right.
2024. So often what rolls out in the 8 universal year is a result of the decisions that were made years before. So we're going to see the consequences of the actions that were taken from years before, okay? Not just personally, but this is like a global influence. Financial and material gain, that's going to be under a microscope this year coming. Financial advantage, success in business and business investments for sure. It can also include a lot of fluctuations in the money markets. So I'd be really careful with any kind of investing that you're doing, because it can go up really fast, but it can crash just as hard.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure where that's going to go. Really good though for career advancements, especially any kind of career advancements that offer an opportunity to be in management or in a leadership role, which is awesome, any kind of authority role. It's an energy that's going to promote a lot of confidence, allowing you to stand in your power and possibly reclaim your power. I love that about the 8 energy. A lot of people, when they look at the 8 vibration, they think about just the money aspect of it, but it
Mhm.
really is your relationship to the money.
Mhm.
Are you feeling worthy of the money?
Mhm.
Are you getting paid your worth? Or are you somebody that just kind of takes the handout and grabs the crumbs and says, "Oh, thank
Mhm.
you very much for the crumbs"? So it's understanding what is your worth and making sure that you're getting it. It's a really, really excellent energy to set goals and pursue them and go after them. It's very, very supportive in that respect. And although the 8 is about success, it also stresses a need for balance, a big need for
Mhm.
balance, because you're going to feel pulled, especially those of you who are in the 6 personal year. You're going to feel very pulled in 2 different directions, right?
Mhm.
Um, One will be towards your home and your family and the responsibilities to all that, maybe your community. And then the other side, of course, is to your work. So it's developing a sense of balance there. Owning the way that you choose to respond to things, understanding that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you and for you, right? That is just the reality
Right.
about it. So given that the 8 is about manifestation, you might see a lot of results from your previous actions come to you this year. If you've worked really hard and you're building a business or career or whatever, that could come to light for sure. You want to make sure that to make choices that align with your long-term goals. This isn't about short-term stuff. This is about the long game. Okay.
Mhm.
So being in alignment with whatever it is you're trying to manifest for the long term is very important. You might have an interest in your social status a little bit. Might become a little bit more important to you. The opportunity for leadership in your workplace, your community, even in your social circles might prove there, right? You can step into that. On a global scale, there's undoubtedly going to be a focus on global economic conditions. I mean, it's all over the news now, right? The price of everything, inflation is out of whack, and people are homeless, and all kinds of awful things. That's definitely going to be more exaggerated next year for sure. The financial markets, as I said earlier, they're definitely going to be highlighted in the news. I think my biggest concern for next year would be that global power dynamics, the power struggles between the leaders, the wars that are going on in Ukraine and Israel and such. So it's going to besize the egos, and that includes all of our world leaders as well. They're going to be even more encouraged to stand in their power and throw their weight around and such. So we have a responsibility as people, especially those of us who understand vibration, who understand energy. We have a responsibility to throw as much love as we can at this, as much hope as we can, to send love to the planet, to Mother Nature, to Mother Earth. Whatever we can do to stay positive and hopeful is really important, because if we stay in a negative state of mind, as if you stay too tuned into the media, social media, wherever, you're reading all the bad news all the time. You got to take it in small chunks, small doses. Anything you need to know, you're going to find out. Somebody will tell you. You don't have to sit there and saturate your brain, right? Every day. I mean, just get enough to stay informed. But honestly, if we take in too much, it's like taking fuel and throwing it against an already out of control fire.
Right.
And we have a personal responsibility to not feed that fire by examining what our vibration is. That's something we can control, right? We might not be able to control the powers and such, but the way we choose to respond, we can control. So it's an escalated need for power. And it also could represent a quick change in leadership.
Yeah.
There's going to be a heightened awareness as well on balance and justice on a global scale. Again, that's the consequences of the previous actions. We're going to be highlighted. And technology and business advancements. I can't imagine anything topping AI next year, but something's coming, right? That's a possibility. Any thoughts or any questions about that, Nancy Jean, before I move on to the personal years?
No, I think it's really important for people to understand that they need to be centered and aware. Is this really what I feel, or is it something I've allowed in to make me feel? I used to work in broadcasting, and that was my bachelor's degree was in broadcast film. And it was not a joke when they said, if it bleeds, it leads. And if watching things bleed and watching things slowly fall apart, and they know that the newspapers know. As a matter of fact, I saw a reader do a show on how she split her channel into two things. One's a more spiritual, let's look at how the universe works, and one's her more political part, because she said, quite honestly, and she said, if you like that political stuff, if you like those political readings, that's fine. Because she said, I don't mind doing them, but I don't want to get to the point I feel like I'm stoking fear.
Right.
And that's up to us, our responsibility, because I'll hear a reader do a very positive reading on how something's going to happen. And I'll talk to somebody that's in my community, and they'll go, oh, but it could be da da da. Whenever I hear anybody said, oh, but, or maybe, I just want to say, no, just look at your first impression, not. And a lot of times I'll see a headline and I'll go, that doesn't make any sense with where I think this sometimes they're the perverse characters of our public view. And I'll go, I didn't hear that. And I'll look and they're rehashing a story from 6 months ago
Right.
because they didn't have another thing to stick in there
Oh,
to
no,
try and
stay.
give you the eye candy and draw you in. And
Mhm.
just think about this. Do you really like being manipulated like that? Then let it go.
Yeah. I think the important thing to remember, given that next year, 2024, is that 8 universal year, which is all about power and authority,
Mm-hmm.
and many of us are going to feel very out of control, very powerless, very,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do kind of thing. But there's lots of things you can do. I was in Dartmouth, which is sort of a city not far from where I live, yesterday, and I was alarmed at seeing on the side of the highway how many tents were
Mm-hmm.
there. At tent cities growing up, we have tent cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of a huge homelessness issue, but now it's like little sparse areas and whatnot. And you do feel powerless and you feel really badly about it, but you can't stay in that vibration because that's not helping anything. You have to figure what if I'm going to pay that much time and attention to that feeling of feeling bad, how can I turn that around and
Right.
turn it into something where I can be of service or I can make a better
Mm-hmm.
contribution? A simple example, a friend who is selling homemade socks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's surprised that they weren't selling because they were like $6 or whatever. So I took that post and I reposted it and I said, what a great opportunity to give to the people in the tent cities,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just whatever. I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
much, but it was something that turned, oh, I feel bad about this, into, hey, maybe I can help do something about
Mm-hmm.
this, right? So that's kind of what I'm going to be encouraging everybody to look to do next year is don't get sucked into the whole fear mongering and the whole planet is going to hell in a handbasket and we're all, there's nothing left of the planet kind of thing, because we can do something. The way we choose to respond to everything is either a positive experience or a negative experience.
Yeah.
So you do have that control.
And on this side of the border, south of Canada,
Mhm.
anybody who tells me, oh, there's nothing I can do about this, when we're in an election year,
Yeah.
call me. I can give you a list of 25 things you can start to do tomorrow. And it's sometimes just review who's out there running for different things. We're doing primaries now. And people say, how come we end up with the same bad apples? Well, it's because you didn't vote in the primary when there were some different apples there, and give them a shot to see what they become. But
Yeah.
really, it's that was what used to make me craziest about being in politics of, oh, I don't want to vote and make a decision because it might be wrong. I think you agree with the same thing I do in the universe. Not making a decision is the
Is a
worst
decision.
decision.
Right. It is a decision all by itself.
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay. Well, let's take a look and see how this 8 vibration, this absolutely, it's like a year on steroids is what I've been
mm-hmm.
saying for the last couple of months, right? It's going to be an epic year for sure. Let's talk about how it's going to be affecting your personal year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your personal year is determined by figuring out what the universal year is first, right? So we know that 2024 is an 8 universal year because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8. It's simple math. That's all I do is simple math. So this is that universal year, which is that umbrella influence, right? Now all you're going to do is add your month of birth, like reduce your month of birth to a single digit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry, don't even worry about master numbers in this case. Just reduce it. Like if it's November, reduce it to a 2. If you're born on the 8th day, then that's the 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to add that to the 8 universal year. Okay, so it would be 2 plus 8 is 18, and 1 plus 8 equals 9. Okay, I get my math right there?
Yeah, it is. 8 and 8 is 16, 1 plus 2.
Yes. So it's 18, 1 and 8 equals 9. So another example would be March 25th, right? So March
Mm-hmm.
is a 3, the 25th
Mm-hmm.
day, add it together, 2 and 5 equals 7. So now we have
Mm-hmm.
plus 7. Now we're going to add that to the 8 for the universal year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which comes to 18, and 1 plus 8 equals 9 again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I know Nancy Jean and I differ on when your personal year begins. It's not even relevant in this particular case, really. Numerologists believe that we start January 1st and finish December 31st. And I know those who observe astrology believe we start on our
Yeah, we
day.
believe your birthday is the first day. Yeah.
Right. And either way, neither one of us can prove which one's right. So I choose to go whatever, right? For me, it makes more sense. It starts in January. You know, you say tomato, I say tomato, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Well,
So don't
starting
get
in
hung up with that.
January makes it a lot easier for everybody because they don't have to remember.
Yes.
They know that's the day that it starts, except for my
You-
friend who was born on December 31st.
Yes.
So
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a little hard on your head. Okay, if you happen to be in a personal year of 1, this is a year about new beginnings, new opportunities. This is the beginning of a cycle. It's going to be all about you being number 1, right? The focus is on you. Very ambitious energy. And the 8 universal year is going to turbocharge that for you. I mean, it's lovely. If you're in a 1 personal year with the 8 vibration over top, I think this is a fantastic lineup. It's a time to really get moving. It's a time to plant some seeds, especially as it relates to your business, or any kind of financial things that you're doing, your financial portfolio, your job, whatever you're doing with your money, right? It's a really good time to do that. Great to focus on your career, and a general interest over your money portfolio, whatever kind of investing you're doing that sort of thing. It's also a really great year to set healthy new boundaries. Okay, let's say you become somebody's doormat. You know, you become somebody's bitch, and you're just all done with that. This is a really good time to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what? I know I've let you walk all over me for a while. This year, no, that's going to end, right? We're gonna start fresh this year. I'm going to set a new boundary, and you will not be walking through it. Okay, because the 8 is not just about our money, but the 8 is also about our own personal power and authority and how we feel about that, right? So this can be a really great start. When we go looking at the personal year of 2, it's no longer about you anymore standing alone. It's about you and one other person. So it's partnerships. The focus is on partnerships. The energy isn't as strong as what it was in the year of 1. The year is go, go, go. So the universe will throw us forward in 1 year and rein us back in the next. So the year of 2 is kind of rest and restore. But the year of 2 is no longer about you alone. It's about you and one other person. So the 2 is about partnership, especially as it relates to financial success. You know, it's about bringing on a business partner. It's about collaborating with people. Maybe you've got a podcast and you're bringing more and more people on, something like that. It's for the sake of the financial success. Excellent time to shift the focus away from just yourself and place it onto you and the other person to achieve shared goals, a shared interest in the goal that you want to achieve. And of course, the 8 is supporting that partnership to ensure success. When we look at the personal year of 3, it's not about the 1, it's not about the 2 anymore. Now we can bring in the 3. So the 1 wanted to stand alone, the 2 wants to stand in partnership. Now the 3 wants to be social. Okay, so it brings the group dynamic. So those in a personal year of 3 are naturally going to be inspired to express themselves in a creative way. And typically under the umbrella of the 8, this is a really good time to express yourself in a creative way that's going to bring you some money, right? So it's maybe an advancement in your business, expansion in your business, or something in your workplace. Maybe you're a teacher and you're teaching a curriculum a little differently, expressing yourself a little differently, looking for that promotion, find different ways, start looking outside of the box. Great time to have ideas that are going to bring in financial rewards. And the 3 has a tendency to be a little scattered. The energy is very creative and it's kind of all over the place and it's fun and it's social and whatnot. But you'll notice as we go through this, you know, there's polar opposites going on. The 1 says full speed ahead, the 2 back. The 1 says I want to be alone, the 2 says I want partnership, right? So when we're the 3 wants social and creative activity and all kinds of stuff going on. And all of a sudden we move into the 4. The 4 says, want structure, want routine, want focus, I'm going to work hard, you know. So those in an 8 personal year have won the lottery. I'm talking about the 4. Ahead of myself. We're looking at
stabilizing.
Yeah, stabilizing and getting a little bit more focused. There we go, got the pages out of order. Oh, me. Thank you, Mercury.
Yeah.
Classic. Supported. This is all about creating a step-by-step process, right? If you're going to have the freedom that you desire, you've got to create the plan first, right? The freedom comes next year in your year of 5, but you've got to come up with some sort of step-by-step process to ensure success. This is a great year to revisit your financial portfolio, any habits that you have, any limiting beliefs you have. any kind of manifestation has to start with a plan, right? So it's really sitting down and creating a workable plan, not something that's pie in the sky and unattainable, but something that's grounded, very foundational, right? The ability to actually focus on a plan, even if your life path number is a 3, which tends to be kind of scattered, this will give you that boost that you need, because the 4 is about process and whatnot, but the 8 again is going to biggie size that, right? It's going to manifest a bigger energy towards it. So this is really coming up with a plan to ensure financial success in the future. Once again, we're playing the long game next year, right? This isn't the short game. This isn't the quick fix. This isn't the get rich quick scheme. It's about the long game. When we shift into the personal year of 5, the year of 5 is kind of a fun year in the sense, because the year of 4, you kind of feel like you're in a straitjacket. You gotta work, and you gotta be coloring inside the lines. You're not allowed to color outside the lines. You're not allowed to take a day off. It's very work focused. But when you come into the 5, it's like, it's go time. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get moving. I gotta take that straitjacket off and be free. So that feeling of being stuck, like you might have felt in the personal year of 4, which is self-perceived, by the way, you can never be stuck. The earth keeps moving, even though you're feeling stuck. So make a better choice. But the 5 is going to be a little bit more exciting than last year. It's going to invite excitement. It's going to invite change and expansion and unexpected things. Learning how to be a little bit more adaptable, a little bit more flexible and resilient in the face of change is important next year into personal year 5. The energy in itself is very scattered. It's very different than what the 4 was. So you have to be careful you're not squandering the energy all over the place.
That's right.
It's also, it's a bit of a tricky year for your money, because the 5 is the unexpected. So this could bring in an unexpected windfall, but it also could bring in something quite catastrophic. So I always say to people who are in that 5, year of unexpected events, when there's a big vibration of the 8 and sort of overshadowing that, take care of your PIN numbers. Don't be willy-nilly out there in the public putting in your, maintain your privacy, and observe your bank accounts and look at your statements and things like that, because unexpected things related to your money. You could have somebody bleeding your bank account and you don't even know it because you're not really paying attention. Right. So things like that are important to do. So the 5 is kind of fun, footloose, fancy free, want their freedom, that sort of thing. But when we move into the energy of the 6, of course, that brings in the need for more responsibility, especially as it relates to home and family. And this can be your personal family. This can be your work family. This can be your community. But it's that I can't play anymore. I can't have fun anymore. I got to do the right thing and be a little bit more responsible. So it's going to ask you to, establish a little bit more balance in your life. Part of you wants to be at work doing your thing, and the other part of you has to be at home doing their thing, right? So everybody at home is like, come on home. So you go home and it's all good and you're helping out and it's great. But meanwhile, you're thinking, shit, I gotta be back to work, right? So you go back to work, and when you're at work, you're like, hey, I gotta go back to my family, and you're really feeling very split and torn. So it might be a little challenging to establish the balance between your family responsibility and your work responsibility. It's going to bring in a bigger need for perfectionism as well, because the 6 is about, perfection. This might also bring in an interest in the physical home. Is this place big enough for us? Is it small? Is it too small? Do we need to upgrade? Focus is on the family. The focus is on the money. Chances are you're going to have your kids knocking on the door going, I'm a little, short this month. Can you help me out? Or you might have an interest in one of your parents or siblings or somebody that needs to move in with you. So that sense of responsibility and that financial contribution is all rolled up into that, right? The 6 personal year, the 8 vibration. Maybe you're renovating or even considering the financial needs of your family, as I said, is big. After you've had a year of all, absorbed by your family responsibilities, you come into your personal year of 7, where you put up your arms and go, back off, everybody. I'm going in my cave. Leave me alone. The 7 asks us to be introspective and reflective. It asks us to take a pause, hit a pause button on your life, and kind of review the last 6 years. What's the trajectory moving forward? Am I going in the right direction? Do I need to kind of change that up a little bit? it would be a really good year to develop a business related to your interest in spirituality. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a tarot reader, maybe it's time to put your shingle out and do it,
Right.
If you're a reflexologist or a massage therapist or something of that nature, energy worker, this is going to be very conducive to considering your business. The one thing I'm going to say about the 7 energy, though, is the 7 causes us to be very invested in our heads, not
Mm-hmm.
very invested in our hearts. So we have a tendency to make decisions based on what we think is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Always know what the right thing to do is because we're not really very, very well plugged in. So I would not really jump too quickly into making any kind of financial investment in a 7
Mm-hmm.
year, because you're too invested in your head to make a good, clear decision that you can hang your hat on.
Yeah, you're not feeling the whole vibrations of the world around you through your heart energy.
Exactly. Right. That's exactly right. So it's just a little bit difficult to make a decision that you can feel very solid about, because the 7 will cause you to be second guessing things. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
thinking about starting a spiritual type business, it's all good. It's a great year to think about it, to plan about it, to research it and whatnot. But I would think that next year, your personal year of 8 would probably be the better vibration to do it in.
Right.
So it's a time to fine tune it, basically. So do that research that you need to do, but don't jump. And then last but not least, we have, oh, not last but not least, we are going into our 8. Did I mention my pages are out of order?
Mm-hmm. Yes. You mentioned Mercury wandered through your office today and threw bits and pieces everywhere.
Yeah, Mercury can just bugger off. That's all I can do. There we go. I know this stuff. I don't know why I need my notes, but anyway. Gosh, if you guys are going into an 8 personal year, in an 8 universal year, go buy your lottery tickets. Like, I just think it's an awesome lineup, right? You're really in alignment. I can't believe how many people are reaching out to me on YouTube saying, oh, I've got a life path number of 8. I've got an essence of 8. I'm going to be in a personal year of 8 and the universal year of 8. And they're just like, well, should I be afraid? And I'm like, no, just study the 8. There's positive sides and there are negative sides to every number. In fact, if you go to my website, annperrynumerologist.com, I have a resource page there that spells out every single number, the positive traits, the negative traits. See, we're all going for the
And
positive.
they're really good. They're really good.
Do you find? Oh, good. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, no, and if you study tarot, you'll see a certain pattern.
Oh, you do. 100%. You're right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, numbers are numbers, right? The language is the same. Doesn't
Yeah.
just where you apply it, right? So those in the 8 personal year have won the lottery. It's a fantastic, as far as I can see, it's a fantastic vibration to have. The 8 personal year is like biggie size, mega size, steroid size, all around. But you do need to examine how big this energy is. I mean, I know this firsthand. My personality is an 8. And I know that anytime I was working out in the corporate world in what my now ex-husband would call my real job, I would want to find out people's dates of birth as quickly as I could, because I needed to know, what are they like? What's so somebody, for example, who has a 2 life path number tends to be a little on the shyer side, a little quieter and whatnot. They can't handle my 8 personality. I have to tone it down. I have to bring it back. So I think that's really important to recognize next year, because this 8 energy can be extremely competitive, very, very driven, very in your face, kind of condescending in some ways. So if you stay focused on finding a way, rather than chasing opportunities to make money, the better thing to do next year with that 8 vibration would be chase opportunities to be of service. The money's going to follow, right?
Right.
When we are of service, the money will always follow. It's a good year to get your finances in good shape, like talk to the investors and whatnot. Somebody you really, really trust. It's a time to, before you go into your 9 year, which is the releasing and letting go year, it's a good year to really take a look at that financial portfolio. And again, the long game, what are you doing on the long game? Don't just leave it to somebody, get involved, like get invested in what your portfolio is, if you have one. Great year to go after your goals, pursue the goals, go after the goals, all good. But just be careful not to be too overbearing. very strong vibration. It's going to bring in a lot of confidence, a lot of courage. You're going to see it in the world leaders for sure. Absolutely. I think you're also going to see it in things like Facebook, the ads that you see on Facebook. It's going to be more and more and more push, 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 push.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I never do any kind of Facebook ads or anything because I don't like pushing a boulder uphill.
No.
It's just people want to find me, they'll find me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I don't think it, even though it feels like we should be pushing in the year of 8, sometimes I feel that you need to kind of take a step back and see where you can make a contribution.
Right.
Where can you be of service? Where have you maybe dropped the ball, so to speak? And last but not least, we're going to shift into the personal year of 9. This is when we're going to be looking to tie up loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fabulous energy. If you have any debt that you're carrying that you could get rid of next year, if it's possible, put your best foot forward to do that. It's a really great year for that. It's a year where you're, sort of emptying out your trunk. For the last 8 years, you've thrown stuff into this invisible trunk. And then you get into the year of 9, you're going to open up that trunk and look inside and see what needs to be removed because you want to create space. That's the big deal for the year of 9. It's creating space. I can't wait. I'm going into it next year. So how much space can we create to allow for new opportunities to come in? So that we can travel lighter next year. So the other thing that you're going to be looking at are the people that you've kind of collected over the last 8 years. Are they people that you're still in alignment with? You've done a lot of personal growing over the last 8 years, and so have they. Are you still in good alignment? Do they serve you? Do you serve them? Or are you just kind of hanging out of habit? You need to really consider, who do I want to take with me into my personal year of 1 next year? Or, the following year. Who would I want to take with me? So your responsibility is to clean out the junk in your trunk, and that includes the people, even the family members that are not serving you any longer, right? It's also a time, again, where if someone's been treating you like the doormat, this is another alignment that says, that's it, no more, right? I like to I like to say, when the 8 comes in together with the 9, it's like, there's a new bitch in town. You're probably not going to like her very much, right?
Right.
That's really hardcore boundaries. Anyway, but anything that's disempowering you, anything that is taking away from who you are and where you want to go, it's time to release it and let go of it. And I promise you, if you don't do it and it's something that's toxic, the universe will find a way to blow it up for you. So if you can do it kicking and screaming, or you can do it willingly, one or the other. But either way, it's time to release that.
That's the cycle. That's the energy that's around you.
Exactly. That's right.
And if you're aware of it, you can kind of pick and choose. My favorite 9-year story is I worked with a young man. He was a sommelier and a server at a wine place, and he always had very long dark hair. He wore it up in a man bun, which is the ugliest thing in the world anyway. But he had his hair in a man bun, and he was incredibly handsome. He was the sort of waiter who made so much money just because women were just so charmed by him. And he was like, I'm never going to settle down. He had the job at the wine place. He had a couple of other things he did. So no place owned his time. He was in charge. He was never going to cut his hair and all this stuff. So I came in one day and his hair was cut. And I said, oh, did it just get too hot? Which is a real thing that happens in Texas. It gets too hot.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, he said, I felt like it was time. And I said, so what else is going on? And he goes, oh, I wanted to tell you, I've taken the position here to work. They actually make wine at this winery, even if it's in the city. And he said, I'm going to be working with, the vintner on doing that. And I said, well, that's good. It's, good to see you doing that. And he said, and I kind of met somebody. And I said, oh, well, that's nice. Take it slow and see how it works. And he goes, I really, really like her, but there's a huge problem. And I said, okay, what's the problem? Distance, whatever. Well, she had a daughter. And he'd always vowed in his own head, I will never date someone with a kid because I'm not going, And I said, okay. And I said, well, take that slow too, because, that's your opinion and the child may convince you. So anyway, And he just finally turned around and looked at me at the end of the conversation, said, "What the hell's happening to me?" And I said, "When's your birthday?" And it was the end of that week, and I added it up, and he was going from a 9-year into a 1-year. He did like a whole 9-year in a
Yeah.
month.
Wow.
And the upshot of the story is he went along into his 1 year with a lot of new ideas, and he now is happily married with his adopted daughter and his son.
Wow.
I mean, and he's totally, I mean, he's like totally different than
Never
me.
say never.
And so it's not just the people around you, it's the people you carry inside your own head who you think you are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The 9 personal year has always been my favorite because I love to see what needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
Excited about what's coming.
And you'll find out, even if you don't know it's a 9-year, you're going to, when you look back and you figure your years backwards,
Yeah.
you're going to, the year that all that change happened and all that stuff went away was a 9-year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So who knows, but I'm wishing the best for everybody. I think it's going to be, if there was ever a year that you needed to be prepared for,
Yeah.
it's 2024. And I also want to share that, there's a lot you can learn from looking at your date of birth, in terms of,
Mm-hmm.
the themes,
Mm-hmm.
that are going to be surrounding you in any given year. But your birth name also holds an enormous influence over how you go through that personal year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going into a 9 personal year, and let's say you're doing the same, Nancy Jean. So
Mm-hmm.
you're a 9 and I'm a 9. Well, we know that we're both going to go through a very similar theme because a 9 is a 9 is a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Birth name creates what's called an essence. So if we think of the 9-year cycle as a black and white template,
Mm-hmm.
and the essence, which comes from the birth name, if we look at the essence as the color that we're now going to throw against that black and white canvas, all of a sudden that canvas comes to life and I can read it a lot more clearly for you. So it's something that many numerologists never talk about, but I think it's so important because it's the difference between knowing what you're going through and not, And it is the reason I'm sitting right here is because of the essences. When I learned them, I'm like, oh, everybody needs to know this. So, yeah.
And that's what's I think is important about understanding numerology is you don't need to get a ton of decks. You don't need to buy a master program that will add everything, that like an astrology wheel or anything else. You just get out a piece of paper, and if you have a smartphone, you've got a calculator. That makes the world so much easier. When I started this, it was like you had to do it all on paper, and you add your things together and just get a little guidance. Go to Ann's channel and see the guidance. Find out the basic numbers you need to know. What you're going to do is when you figure out how that applies to you, then you're going to start doing everybody you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And you'll find out so much. You go, I should have seen that a long time ago. What's going on here?
It's kind of neat in the community that I have, the Clarity Seekers community for which you've been a teacher.
I belong here.
Yeah, and you belong there too. In the Clarity Seekers community, I teach numerology. I kind of like over last year, we taught all the basics, like more than just the basics. Like we really dialed down really deep into the numbers from 1 to 9, and then we went into life path numbers and expression numbers. But we just give you enough to be dangerous, right?
Yes.
So, but you do it really, really well. And now we've broken it. And we did about 6 or 8 weeks of looking at celebrities in the news. That was really interesting. And now we're bringing in everybody's charts. So if you're a member of the community, you can bring in your numbers and ask questions. And we'll go over it and give you another little bit of a looky-loo kind of thing. It's really fun. It's really, because I think that you can get a little overwhelmed, and a lot of people walk away from numerology because there's a lot to it. It's not just, but you don't have to go there. You can get a ton of information by just working with the basics, and I like to keep it as simple as I can, but still give you a rich experience. So
yes, I mean, trust me, I've seen where people go through every name change they've ever had and all that stuff. You don't need to do that. If you just know where you started from and see how you build it out, it's the best way. And I really, really, I tell people, that say, oh, I could never remember all those cards, or I can't remember all those things. I said, then look at numerology, because once they learn numerology, then they've already gotten 3/4 of the pack, because they're 1 through 9 in the tarot. And
I find
it also works with sacred geometry. It works really well with sacred geometry.
it does. And I find that even with oracle cards, like I work with an awful lot when my readings and such, I work with a lot of oracle cards. And even though in the oracle cards, typically most of the people who write those decks don't really take into consideration the number that's
Mm-hmm.
on the card,
Mm-hmm.
but it means something. It really means something.
Well, you don't get it. Numbers,
Fun.
numbers don't fall into your life
Yeah.
because that was what happened on Tuesday, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
So,
anyway, Anne's given you a lot to think about and kind of a new way to look at 2024. And she's given you the tools so you can look at it for yourself. And if you go to her website, her explanations of the numbers are more in depth and they can help maybe spark a little bit more for you. But I would encourage you to do that. And I'm so glad you came here today. You've given us a whole nother way of looking at this. So,
well, I always appreciate the time and effort you put into this, Nancy Jean. Thank you for including me again.
okay. Well, we're going to go blow out the candles and
All right.
say goodbye to my Canadian cousin because my parents were Canadian. And I encourage everyone, please remember to blow your candles out because we all remember that seven candles ago, I almost burnt my desk up. So,
Ouch.
yeah, no, a candle exploded and it was on what I thought was a flame-proof thing, and it wasn't. So then the whole little tray started on fire. There's the reason this beautiful blue cloth's on my table is because there's a big brown spot.
Well, you didn't burn your house down, so that's good.
No, that's no. Numbers were in the right place. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And I encourage everyone to go over and seek her stuff out and look at her clarity group. It's been very interesting for me to dive in and out of it. And I just can't thank you enough. And that's day 8. Tomorrow we have Andre Carr, and that's day 9, and that's the end. 9s being the numbers at the end. Then we go back into a 1, right? See, I learned something.
There you go.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Okay.